On World News Tonight this Monday, once again, Saddam Hussein cost the United States a lot of money. It was very close. Now, what is next? Another tobacco war gets settled, and we'll take a look at what the industry is planning next to deliver nicotine. And what's next for humanity? The year 2000 is fast approaching, which means that some people are thinking Armageddon.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. The United States is no longer rushing forces to the Persian Gulf. The world is watching very closely to see what happens now. Is the world finally going to get what it wants from Saddam Hussein? And will the economic sanctions against Iraq be lifted? It was very close this weekend. An awful lot of people almost got killed. First, from Baghdad itself, ABC's Morton Dean.
The workers who administer the UN humanitarian programs began returning to Iraq today.
We're happy to be back.
Their return is non-controversial and welcome here. But the arms inspectors will be greeted by a familiar sight. The banners vilifying them are still very visible across from the UN compound's main entrance. In the compound, preparations were being made today so that the inspectors can quickly resume their work. The inspectors' first priority, to check their monitoring equipment, unchecked for weeks. The UN has said it will begin surprise inspections of suspect sites as soon as Wednesday, the kind of inspections that frequently had led to confrontations.
I think you'll see a fairly large, very intrusive inspection team going into some fairly sensitive sites very early on.
Most importantly, the inspectors will demand hundreds of documents. According to the UN, one document provides a detailed account of Iraq's chemical weapons program. UN inspectors say they saw the document in July, but Iraq refused to provide a copy. Other documents are believed to describe Iraq's biological weapons program.
This information exists. It's in the possession of the government of Iraq. It's their call. They can either give it to us or not. I earnestly hope they do.
Of course, the big question is, what happens if history repeats itself and Iraq refuses to honor any of those requests? Morton Dean, ABC News, Baghdad.
The Clinton administration wants the Iraqi president's word about allowing inspections to be tested pretty quickly. And the rhetoric was generally more measured today, even though Defense Secretary Cohen did say this was Saddam Hussein's last chance. Once again, by playing it as close as he did, the Iraqi leader cost the U.S. a lot of extra money, and he did get a comprehensive review of economic sanctions. But it was ever so close. Here's ABC's John McWethy.
It was an air campaign that could have lasted a week, and U.S. military planners estimated that at least 10,000 Iraqis might have been killed. In the course of the week, plans called for hitting air defense, intelligence headquarters, special military units that guard Saddam Hussein. Pentagon officials say many soldiers would have died. But there also would have been civilian casualties. In the interest of tactical surprise, the first salvo of cruise missiles was set for early evening when the streets of Baghdad and other cities would have been crowded. This was the scene Saturday afternoon aboard the USS Cape St. George in the Persian Gulf. Chilling evidence of just how close the U.S. came to launching the ship's cruise missiles.
I just received word from my boss, Rear Admiral Fry, Commander Task Force 50, that there will be strikes tonight.
As the sun set, the ship was made ready. ABC's Mike Lee, who was on board, said that the countdown was stopped just 18 minutes before launch. The news spread fast. The White House knew on Friday that Iraq was starting to back down, but kept the countdown going until Saddam Hussein gave the assurances they wanted in writing. The UN Special Envoy to Baghdad, Prakash Shah, was the middleman in those frantic final hours. With time running out, he struggled to nail down new Iraqi positions while fighting Baghdad's aging telephones and fax machines. He said today that he knew military action was close, but admitted he had no idea how close. John McWethy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
When we come back, some of the other news, a new tobacco settlement, and the new way to get a nicotine fix.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by fast-acting Mylanta.
You can feel it start to burn all through here. All you can think about is getting rid of it quickly. I even tried Zantac 75, but it didn't work fast enough. Finally, I asked my doctor, and my doctor said Mylanta. Fast-acting Mylanta was made to work fast where heartburn hurts most. Soothing on contact. It's so fast. My doctor said Mylanta.
And if you suffer from gas, there's a Mylanta just for you. Mylanta Gas.
Max is a mighty dog. That's why he gets new Mighty Dog carved beef and gravy. Tender slices and savory gravy to give Max all the energy he needs. New Mighty Dog carved beef and carved beef with pasta. Mighty Dog from Friskies.
Ooh, sinus pain, so much pressure, I just can't focus.
Are you okay?
Clear the pain with new Tavist Sinus Gel Caps. Unlike extra-strength Tylenol, it unclogs the congestion that may cause the sinus pain. Be clear-headed, clear through your day with new Tavist Sinus Gel Caps.
At Boston Market, you can get the chicken America loves and the deal America wants. Now you can buy a whole chicken at Boston Market for only $5.99 and great side items starting at just 99 cents. So tonight, take home the chicken America loves, only at Boston Market.
There was a new tobacco deal unveiled today. We reported it was in the works last week. It'll cost the tobacco companies $206 billion to settle with 46 states, but it's far less than the deal that Congress killed last summer. It bans advertising on billboards and cartoon characters such as Joe Camel, but tobacco companies would be allowed to sponsor sports events and would not be penalized if teenage smoking does not decline. Individual states have until Friday to sign on, and whatever the results of the deal, industry is already devising ways to get smokers money without so much smoke. Here's ABC's Aaron Brown.
This may be the next generation cigarette. Tobacco giant Philip Morris hopes it is. The company has been test marketing the high-tech contraption in a handful of stores in Richmond, Virginia.
It's weird. I've never seen nobody smoke a cigarette out of a little battery-operated machine. It's different.
It is that, but its purpose is the same, to deliver nicotine, the drug in cigarettes, to the smoker. But it does so with very little secondhand smoke.
It's obviously not near as much smoke as you would from a regular cigarette.
Philip Morris claims the Accord significantly reduces the compounds public health officials say are most likely to cause smoking-related diseases. What the company doesn't claim and can't claim is that Accord is a safe cigarette, or that it's even safer than a conventional cigarette, because there is simply no credible evidence, none, that it is. This is a safer way of getting nicotine. It is the next generation device to help people quit smoking.
It feels a lot like using a cigarette, and that's attractive to a lot of people.
The Nicotrol inhaler mimics a cigarette right down to the slight burning sensation in the back of the throat. For roughly twice the price of a cigarette and by prescription only, the smoker trying to stop only has to give up the tobacco, not the nicotine, and not the routine, the hand-to-mouth, the puffing that is so much a part of the habit. Side by side, the two products couldn't seem more different. The non-cigarette looks more like a cigarette than the cigarette does. But in a most important respect, they are the same. They are the next generation nicotine delivery devices.
I think these products mark the beginning of a whole series of products that will come from both the pharmaceutical industry and the tobacco industry that show a lot of creativity in nicotine delivery.
And those two industries are competing for the dollars of the 50 million Americans who crave a dose of nicotine each and every day. Aaron Brown, ABC News, New York.
On the money tonight, some evidence that the U.S. industry is stagnating. Industrial output fell 0.1% last month. Factories were operating at their lowest level in more than 6 years. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed above 9,000 for the first time since late July. The Dow was up more than 91 points to finish at 90.11. On the NASDAQ market, stocks were up 13 points. Another big star marketing himself as an investment, Michael Jackson is about to offer bonds that pay interest based on his future record royalties. The singer David Bowie once did the same thing and raised $55 million. And how hot can a mobile phone be? In Finland, virtually all the national economic growth is being sustained by Nokia, the world's biggest cell phone maker. Nokia's profits were up 85% in the third quarter. Coming up, a black college in name only, using your money.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
When we were traveling cross country, we stopped at a place. They had the business channel. We started watching, and the market was going down, and we said, there are these stocks we wanted to buy, and from the road we called
Schwab because we didn't have a phone modem in the motorhome, so we couldn't trade online. Where were we?
Utah.
Utah,
in Utah.
on a payphone, talking to Schwab,
Trying to get.
buying the stocks. There's a feeling of exhilaration. Hey, we've done it, you've committed to it. Then we got back in the motorhome and traveled on our way.
And those purchases have
done very well.
I had questions about investing, and nobody would answer my questions. And then one day my friend was telling me about stocks and that she wanted to start a stock group. We go to the meetings, we talk about everything, children and parenting and politics, and then we talk about which stocks look good. And I come home and say, okay, let's do this with the girls' money. Let's invest in this stock. This looked the best to me. And we learned about it on Schwab.com, right? So you can go to college.
Forget these. Remember this. Smile. Eat. Make a mess. Make a memory. Escape to Red Lobster.
Do you ask more from a truck than 99% of those around you? Then you are what we call a 1%er. With your demanding standards in mind, we submit the more powerful all-new GMC Sierra. Completely redesigned, with a revolutionary towing system and our largest cab ever. 1%ers, your time has come. The all-new Sierra from GMC.
And now our regular report on how the government sometimes misuses your money. Historically, black colleges have received federal funding to further their mission of educating young black Americans. And so what happens when a black college is no longer black? Here's ABC's Michelle Norris.
This is Bluefield State College, one of the nation's 105 historically black colleges. Or is it?
When I go to class, I'm the only black and female in the class.
Until I came here, I didn't even know that it was a historically black college.
At Bluefield, it's not just a problem of appearance. Historically black colleges automatically qualify for federal funds that are meant to help needy black students. That was once the mission at Bluefield State, but times have changed.
Today, there are few visible signs that the school once served an all-black population. And yet the school continues to receive more than $1 million a year in federal funding earmarked for black institutions of higher learning, even though the school is now 93% white.
Of the school's 2,300 students, only about 200 are African American.
If you look around, there's not a lot of blacks. There's not a lot of black staff.
In fact, only 2 of the school's 80 faculty members are black.
And how did we define culture?
And both were hired just this fall. One professor has sued Bluefield State for collecting millions of dollars of your money, even though the school is a black college in name only.
Maybe legally they do, but, I don't think morally they have a right to those funds.
Even the federal government admits there is a problem.
There is a legitimate and serious question about whether they deserve to continue to receive the funding.
But that hasn't stopped the government from doling out handouts, and it hasn't stopped the school from accepting the cash.
There's a limited pool of money.
Yes.
So if you're getting $1 million, that means that's $1 million that someone else is not getting.
But I'm not making that decision on the thing. I'm just putting a proposal in. And as an institution, we seek out those things that we're eligible for.
Whether or not the school remains eligible is a question that only Congress can resolve. But until that happens, this historically black yet predominantly white college will continue collecting $1 million of your money each year. Michelle Norris, ABC News, Bluefield, West Virginia.
When we come back, the bargain real estate that no one is buying.
when you serve French's traditional green bean casserole, made with the tasty, crispy crunch of French's French fried onions. It'll disappear as quickly as the holidays.
Smile, you've got French's.
Nobody does it like you.
A vacuum cleaner you need to push and pull? Or one so easy it almost works by itself?
Nobody
Self-propelled wind tunnel.
does it like you.
The North Star system. Performance and technology that set Cadillac apart from every other luxury car in the world. Now experience the difference during the Cadillac Performance Drive. With the 1999 Seville, with the power and control of the North Star system for just $549 a month. A powerful way to set yourself apart during the Cadillac Performance Drive. See your Cadillac dealer today.
A bunch of us here in Lafayette, Colorado, ate Quaker oatmeal for 30 days. It helped reduce my cholesterol 16 points. My bowling average is still a little lower than my cholesterol, but I'm working on it. Quaker oatmeal warms your heart and soul.
We ease life's pressures. We help make lives more memorable. We're the people of Pfizer. We develop medicines that make the world a better place. We help people love one another. We help keep families strong. We take care of best friends. We spend over $2 billion a year on research. That's why we believe we'll introduce more new medicines for more diseases than anyone else. At Pfizer, we're not just looking for cures for the future. We're going to find them. We know in our hearts the only thing incurable is our passion. Pfizer. Life is our life's work.
In Japan today, the government has announced $196 billion worth of spending programs and tax cuts designed to help pull the country out of its worst recession in 50 years. Many economists say it'll offer only temporary relief. ABC's Mark Litke tonight on several very visible reasons why economic recovery in Japan is so difficult.
A decade ago here in Tokyo's Ginza district, 1 square yard of sidewalk, just 1 square yard, was worth about $350,000, the most expensive real estate on the planet. Today, it would go for about $100,000 if anyone was buying, but they're not. All across Japan, real estate prices have plunged 50 to 90%. For homes, offices, the entire market. With prices dropping that much, why aren't people buying? Jack Rodman, who scouts real estate for potential U.S. investors, says the banks are the biggest culprits.
The banks aren't loaning money. The reason the banks aren't loaning money is they're sitting on all these bad loans. And until they sell the bad loans and recapitalize the banks, this economy is going to be flat.
Still, even if banks started making big loans tomorrow, Japanese consumers show no willingness to start borrowing. Some of the reasons will be familiar to Americans. Many here, like the Sato family, have put off purchases because they're worried about job security, or they fear that if they buy, property values could drop further or interest rates will rise. There are also some very Japanese reasons for the frozen market. For one, there are no big tax breaks for home buyers here because of Japan's cultural fixation on harmony in society. A tax break for homeowners would not be fair to home renters. That same cultural bias makes Japanese uneasy buying property at distressed prices. They see it as unfair to the neighbors who bought when prices were higher.
So, for the most part, Japanese people are standing pat.
The banks, nervous consumers, the culture, all are taking their toll and all need to be addressed for Japan to have any chance of finally curing its 10-year-long real estate crisis. Mark Litke, ABC News, Tokyo.
At the Asian Economic Summit in Malaysia today, the U.S. and Japan said they would pump $10 billion in loans and fresh capital into other Asian economies hit hardest by the financial crisis. The announcement was overshadowed somewhat by the angry reaction to a speech given by Vice President Gore. He said today that Asia could benefit from more democracy, and he criticized Malaysia for throwing a prominent reformer in jail. Malaysia's trade minister called it the most disgusting speech she had ever heard. When we come back, the millennium, the apocalypse, and you.
Great meal. Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas-X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster. Hey, want to go for ice cream? Gas-X, the power to fight gas fast.
55. What'll it be?
We'll take some rice and...
Get some Favre, too.
Yeah.
Now you can choose which teams you see every Sunday with DirecTV and NFL Sunday Ticket. There's up to 13 regular season games a week.
Price check on Favre.
Hey, Brett. Hey, John.
So stock up on all your favorites. NFL Sunday Ticket. It's not on cable. See it on DirecTV. So what are you looking at?
Get the last 6 weeks of NFL Sunday Ticket free when you get DirecTV.
Announcing an amazing discovery. One-A-Day has combined the power of herbs with vitamins to help you during the cold season, support your mood, even memory. New from One-A-Day. Just what you need to feel your best.
Chevy Tahoe, like a rock.
Did you ever work with someone and you like them and they like you, but the timing was all off? For once, listen to that little voice in your head.
Do it for the love of God. Take me with you.
Do you recognize that little voice? Tell us at abc.com and enjoy Spin City followed by Sports Night. See you Tuesday.
This week we're going to take a closer look at the millennium. There are 410 days left until the year 2000, if you think that is the millennium. And some do, some don't. In Jerusalem today, the Catholic Patriarch said the Church's celebration in the Holy Land would start in Bethlehem on Christmas Eve next year and end in Bethlehem on January the 6th, 2001. Now, you have to get used to hearing all these different dates because there has been a very long debate about when one century ends and the other begins. Stephen Jay Gould, the zoologist, geologist, numerologist, in this case from Harvard, has quite a lot of debate in a book called Questioning the Millennium, 2000 or 2001.
This is a debate that has been recorded at least since the 1699 to 1700 transitions in newspapers and magazines throughout the world. What you might want to call pop culture, the man in the street, has always preferred the 00 year because it looks more definitive and interesting, whereas what you might want to call high culture, that is the folks who control official celebrations and publish the journals, have always favored the 01 year, which is perhaps mathematically correct. In the 20th century, all official celebrations were held in January 1901, not 1900, even though an odd set of characters, including Sigmund Freud, Lord Kelvin, and the Kaiser of Germany, thought that 1900 would be better. But then all Ivy League presidents favored 1901, and high culture always won. Now, what's happened in this century is so interesting. Sociologically, there is no more distinction between high and pop culture. So ironically, what's going to happen is that the 20th century is going to have 99 years because it started when high culture was in control on January 1st, 1901, but it's going to end by popular pronouncements on January 1st, 2000.
The millennium is also very important to many Christians who believe that the Bible should be taken literally.
The original millennium is a prophecy in Revelation chapter 20 about a future 1,000-year period of bliss at the second coming of Jesus, when Jesus will come back, cast Satan into the bottomless pit, rule with his saints for 1,000 years, after which Satan is unleashed. There'll be another battle, the good guys win, and then comes the true last judgment.
But even for the absolute believer, it is hard to put an exact date on the millennium without an exact date of what happened at the beginning. Still, here's our religion editor, Peggy Waymeyer.
As the year 2000 approaches, many Christians are filling church prophecy conferences to learn what they can about when the world might end.
But when he comes to the earth the second time, People the globe around will see him.
The difference is not that for the first time people believe Jesus is coming back and history is ending. What's different is that there are a large number of people who have a sense of the imminence of the return of Jesus.
There's a new fascination with the New Testament book of Revelation. It describes the end of time as a series of natural disasters and wars, 7 years of misery that will culminate in the Battle of Armageddon. That's when the Bible says Jesus will return and triumph over Satan.
I think it's all going to happen, literally, just like it says.
Kelly Brown and her family, like many evangelicals, believe something very dramatic will happen first.
Millions of people are going to disappear. Those are going to be the believers who are taken up to heaven. And the ones left behind are going to face all kinds of tribulation.
It's the Lord himself who comes to judge.
The belief that Christians will be snatched by God up into heaven and spared all the pain is called the rapture.
This isn't some wild idea, some fanatical extremism. This is solid truth from the Bible.
It's being preached across the airwaves, on the internet, and through books that are fast becoming bestsellers. This fictional series called Left Behind has become so popular, it's rivaling sales of a John Grisham novel. Believers who looked for the second coming of Christ at the end of the last millennium were disappointed. Still, critics say this theology serves a purpose.
It answers, the great questions of life are where do we come from and where are we going? And it provides the greatest comfort of all because it tells us where we're going, if you can be so certain as to believe it.
And millions of Americans do believe it. But many church leaders are quick to warn them not to focus on the year 2000 because Jesus himself said, no one but God can know the day or hour of his coming. Peggy Waymeyer, ABC News, Dallas.
And the last word, at least for today, from Professor Stephen Jay Gould, who reminds us that even in modern times, there had been millennium panics when people believed that the end of the world was truly imminent.
And probably the most famous, the most influential apocalyptic movement in America was centered in New York State in the 1830s when a former Army officer named William Miller was just absolutely certain from his readings of the apocalyptic books of Daniel and Revelation and Ezekiel that the world was going to end very soon, and he brought all his followers together, as often happens, and needless to say it didn't, which was called by his followers the Great Disappointment.
Tomorrow, the Millennium Building Boom, the world's biggest Ferris wheel, the world's biggest dome, the world's biggest this and that. That is our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Nightline, dictators guilty of vicious crimes and the law that gives them immunity from prosecution. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Tomorrow, this is not idle stargazing. Your pager and telephone could be wiped out. This week's meteor shower, the worst in 30 years. Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News.